episode of Fire Up. We are extremely fired up tonight because we get the honor of having a birthday in the house. Happy birthday, Smoking Jeremy B.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here. I am fired up. And no, not because I'm older.
And then we have a first time on this show, but not it won't be his only time. It's not a one and only, but the first time he's on, Mr. JJ. Tell us a little bit about yourself, JJ.
Yeah, first off, Candy, thanks so much for hosting this space. I want to thank South Florida Tribune for giving me this opportunity. And Jeremy, happy birthday to you. And Candy, I'm super excited to be on. I cover FAU and a little bit of Miami Dolphins here and there, and cover the state of Florida. But excited to get into today's episode.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Well, we have to kind of lead off, I think, with the MLB playoffs because they're going on, and let's face it, it's near the end of their season. I mean, it's October. It's October baseball. Oh, I wish I could say real good things about my team right now, but well, they have a 2-1 lead yet in the series, but my Milwaukee Brewers are playing the Chicago Cubs right now. The Cubs are leading tonight 3-0. But I will say if my team does not win tonight, at least they go back home. And so far, the home team has won at least the 3 games so far that have been played in this series. But we can. So there's 2 series that have ended. So the Yankees went down last night.
Bye, Yankees.
Exactly. Toronto was their bats were hot. Like they scored a lot of runs.
And I'm sorry. I love Aaron Judge in the regular season, but I said it last year. He's a strikeout king in the postseason. It's not how many strikeouts he has versus hits.
And then what went final just a little bit ago, the Dodgers eliminated the Phillies. They took them 11 innings tonight, but they won 2-1, so they took the series 3-1. Any thoughts, JJ? Do you watch a little baseball? Thoughts about the
Yeah,
series?
I do watch a little bit of baseball, as you mentioned, and as Jeremy mentioned, Aaron Judge always has great regular seasons, not the greatest playoffs. He sometimes isn't the same as he is in the regular season, but he didn't have a horrible playoff series against the Blue Jays. He had 3 hits in Game 4 and 2 hits in Game 3, so he still was able to get hot a little bit. Big win for the Blue Jays to advance to the next round. And the Yankees just can't seem to get it done. They can't seem to get past and win the World Series. They haven't won since 2009. And then as for the other series that you mentioned, Phillies, Dodgers, that series, big win for the Phillies last night, 8-2. Trey Turner looks pretty solid. Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, 3 of the best hitters in baseball. Alex Baum, Brandon Marsh. The list goes on and on with the talent there. And the Dodgers, they've been having, a bit of a slump towards the end of the regular season, but they really have been able to fix it. But I think they played tonight, if I'm not mistaken. And the
they
Dodgers
just
got
finished.
a win to close the
Yep.
series out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So big win for them. Shohei Ohtani really hasn't lived up to expectations, in my opinion, but still do have a loaded lineup with Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, Freddie Freeman. So, as Candy said, her team is your team the Cubs or the Brewers? Because I know you're from Wisconsin.
The Brewers.
The Brewers.
Yep.
So, down 3-0 right now. But yeah, my thoughts are, I think that the Dodgers aren't really going to go that far because they were on a big slump towards the end of the regular season. I think the Blue Jays team is pretty good, best in the American League, so I think they could possibly make the World Series this year.
And then
the only team that gave the Blue Jays fit this season was the one that struggled for half of it, and that's my Detroit Tigers. They won both times they beat them in the series. The one was 2-1, and the other one was 3-1. So I'm confident that if the Tigers can get past Seattle tomorrow, that they should be able to do something with them. But at the same time, Tariq Skubal is already announced as the fifth game starter. And I just hope the bats can stay alive because that's the only reason he loses is when the bats go dead.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I know that tonight's matchup for the Cubs and Brewers was the same as game one of the series here. So Freddie Peralta on a kind of a short, semi-short, rotation there, but they're trying to do whatever they can to try and end this series. But right now, I mean, it's end of second, so it's still very early in the game. The Brewers bats can come alive yet. Let's just hope.
Oh yeah, I would love for the Brewers to get past this round. I really would. I'm sorry. I'm sick of teams that have won it recently keep getting back, and that's why I'm really I want the Tigers to win. I'm not mad if the Mariners win because guess what? They haven't been in the postseason for a long time.
Well, the Brewers and the Mariners are the two teams left that have never won a World Series.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree
That would
with
be
you.
a very interesting matchup that way. But if it's Tigers versus Blue Jays in the for the American League Championship, you know I'm rooting for the Tigers to go all the way.
Well, of course, and you should. You should. They're your team. I completely understand that. I have to say, though,
if they lose, I have to become a Brewers fan because I refuse to root for another American League team.
well, the Brewers used to be in the American League a long time ago, but I have to say that I have a friend that I've been talking to, and she's a Cubs fan, and I've known her for years. But she's honestly, she goes, I shouldn't say this out loud. She goes, but honestly, I'm hoping for your team. She goes, I'm kind of tired of seeing the same teams in the World Series all the time. She's like, I'd like to see some new blood in there and spread it around. And I said, yeah, and why not the smallest payroll that's left in the playoffs? Go ahead and do that.
Wouldn't that be great though? If you think about it, if the Tigers and the Brewers play each other, that's two of the smallest payrolls in the major leagues.
Yes, that would be. Although that would be a house divided again.
I know it would be. I know it would be.
Okay, Mr. JJ, we're gonna let's transition over to one of your strengths because I know your strengths is college football. So tell me, who are some of the teams that you really like? What are some of the games you like going into this weekend?
Yeah, so loaded question there. There's a lot of teams I like, and I could mention multiple. So some of the teams that I'm really high on this year, obviously, I'm going to start with Ohio State. They look really good so far this season. Big win over Texas to start the season, and their defense has really impressed me throughout the season, only letting up 3 to Minnesota last week. Julian Sayin, their quarterback, looks really good. He looks comfortable in the pocket, and despite pressure being after him and Texas having 14 pressures, he stayed calm. He's hit his guys, Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, one of the best receiving corps in all of college football. Very high on Ohio State, and their defense looks so good under first-year defensive coordinator Matt Patricia. So I think that they could certainly win the national championship back to back. Then to go to Oregon, very high on Oregon this year. Dante Moore, first-year quarterback for them. He looks really solid. Miami, they arguably have had the hardest schedule so far in college football that they've went undefeated and huge wins for them. They still haven't left the state of Florida. All of their games have been within the state of Florida. But Carson Beck looks like he's the best quarterback in college football. Maybe him or Ty Simpson on Bama. But Carson Beck looks great. Their running backs are looking really good when they get downhill and find gaps from the run protection. Damian Martinez and Lyle are looking really solid. And then the receiving core, Josiah Trader, CJ Daniels. So this Miami team, again, could win the national championship. I can like tell you on and on about the teams that I like, but I'll go to the next question, which are the matchups that I'm looking forward to this week. So the first matchup that I'm really looking forward to this week is going to be between Alabama and Missouri. This is a 2.5 spread. Now it's in Missouri. Missouri's 5-0. Eli Drinkwitz has done a phenomenal job with that program. Back-to-back 10-win seasons. This year starting 5-0. Bo Prabula looks really good. Coleman, their receiver, also looks really good despite the loss of Luther Burden. They still have weapons that they're utilizing. So Missouri's looking pretty solid. Again, they're 5-0. But they haven't really been tested outside of South Carolina. Alabama's been tested. They've beaten Vanderbilt. They've beaten Georgia. This Alabama team, they've proven that they can win. Ryan Williams and Jermon Burton have been looking really good. Isaiah Horton as well. The problem that I see is Missouri's running back, Ahmad Hardy, who's probably one of the Heisman favorites. He'll probably make the Heisman 4 guys finalists. He'll probably make it. Ahmad Hardy, probably the best running back in college football. Alabama's rush defense ranks 14th out of 16 in the SEC, and Missouri has the best running back in college football. So this is a good matchup for Missouri's offense, just utilizing the run game. It's at home, but still, I just can't trust them as much as I can trust this Alabama team with them being tested more. I see Alabama winning in a tight game. Then we got a noon kickoff between Ohio State, Illinois. This is one of those games where I think everyone is, very down on Illinois after getting blown out by Indiana. But Illinois, one loss you can't be stuck up on. There's a reason why they were a preseason top 10 team. Luke Altmaier is looking good so far this season. And, his numbers are really good. 12 touchdowns, no interceptions, QBR in the top 5 in the country. Pure pocket passer. Yes, he doesn't have weapons, but they do run the ball a lot. And they're at home. And it's one of those, 11 a.m. kickoffs, which it will be for them, where, or 12 o'clock kickoffs. That's where Ohio State, that's where you catch a team on the road who's high. And this is, going to be a packed out stadium in Illinois. So I could see Illinois catching Ohio State sleeping, but I am going to take Ohio State in that one. We could get to more games in a bit. I don't want to go too much, but there's like 8 games. I want to give Jeremy a chance to give his thoughts, but we'll stay on this topic, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to Indiana at Oregon because Indiana's been playing some really good football. Oregon, we know, as you mentioned, Dante Moore, who probably is a Heisman finalist too, the way he's been playing. He's caught a lot of hype over the last couple of weeks. He's been lighting it up for Oregon. I want to see that. And of course, we got our boys that I love so much. We got Michigan going all the way to the West Coast to USC. Let's see if they can win a game that isn't a bowl game. Hey, that's all I got to say is the West Coast has not been kind to Michigan. So I want to see them do it with it not being a bowl game.
Agree.
I mean, as you mentioned there, Dante Moore, he has looked very solid. Their receivers are also been very good. And the fact that they went to Pennsylvania, no Penn State loss, the fact that they went there to Pennsylvania and still got a win on the road in Happy Valley at night is really impressive. And their wide receiver one, to carry on Moore, he has that connection with Dante Moore with that relationship that they have. So that is an unbreakable connection. I think that Fernando Mendoza for Indiana has been good. I think this Indiana team is better than last year's Indiana team. Indiana is now a good college football program, and we have to get used to that. Curt Cinetti has really built this. I know it's only been a year and a half, but into a top 10 program in college football. But they are going on the road in a game where there's a 3-hour time difference in a game that's on the road in a hostile environment. So I think that Oregon gets the job done. Texas and Oklahoma is a really interesting one, Jeremy and Candy. This is one where Texas is coming off a big loss to Florida. Texas hasn't looked good. They haven't even beaten a Power 4 school yet. But Oklahoma's starting quarterback, John Mateer, is questionable for the game. He may be out, and Hawkins may be the starter, who is good. Hawkins, one of the better backup quarterbacks. But without him, that's an interesting game. And, the odds makers in Vegas are certainly talking about it with it being a 1-point spread, even though Oklahoma is a top 5 team in the country. What are your thoughts on that game, Jeremy?
I think the Oklahoma defense can smother the Texas offense and give Archie Manning fits.
There was so much hype for Archie Manning going into the whole season. I mean, and everybody talked about it, and he really hasn't lived up to the expectations that everybody thought he would. Your thoughts, JJ?
Yeah, the we can't all blame it on him. He hasn't been good, we have to admit. But the offensive line is giving him an average 2.4 seconds to throw, according to PFF, which ranks 12th in the SEC. He isn't protected. He has used his legs a lot, which is one of his strengths when he escapes the pocket. And I really like that out of him when he gets to the perimeter and uses his dual threat ability. But through the air, he just hasn't been making those throws while the receivers have been making separation. Parker Livingston has been great, their freshman receiver. But outside of him, their rushing game is not good. And it's the fact that you can't run the football against Sam Houston State and UTEP that's really concerning to me. And when you can't run it against them, you're not going to be able to run it against SEC teams, and that's what we're seeing now. And when the offense puts up 17 points against G5 schools, they're not going to win football games. And that's the part where, Texas defense might be the second best defense in the country, just outside of Ohio State. But you have to score points. And as Jeremy mentioned, this Oklahoma defense is looking really good, which ranks second in total defense in the country right now. So, again, how big of a loss is John Mateer going to be? We're going to find out, because I don't think he's expected to return. They may push him, but he's not going to be 100%. We know he uses his legs probably more than most people in the country. But this Oklahoma defense, again, is looking really good. Kendall Dolby has been excellent for them in the secondary. Their guy Mason Thomas on the edge had 3 sacks against Auburn. He's a potential day 1 draft pick. And this defense, as Jeremy said, I don't see Texas gaining any momentum on.
I do have an update from 2 hours ago from the Oklahoma Sooners practice report. He is now probable to play. Not questionable.
And that changes a lot. And that kind of explains why the spread shifted from 2.5 favored Texas to 1.5 favoring Oklahoma. Because as Mateer gets more and more probable to play, they're going to be expected to win more and more in that one. So I agree. I think Oklahoma wins on that one. But then we have a really interesting one. Your Michigan Wolverines are heading to the Coliseum. Who you got in that one?
That was I'm taking Michigan. I'm sorry, I got to be a homer. And it goes by the quarterback play. I just think Bryce Underwood is outplaying the way their quarterback plays. The defenses lately, the last couple of weeks, Michigan's defense has been very stingy, and I like the way they're getting takeaways, whether it's by fumble or interception. Them getting back the safety that they got back, I can't remember his name right now, but the safety Moore. That was huge. Rod Moore. That's it. Yeah, I just had to think for a minute. I love the way he's playing. He reminds me of Kirby Joseph for the Lions right now. He's one of those ball hawking, very intuitive jumping routes, and it's like he sees the route.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. I think, the problem with this Michigan offense is the receivers are really dropping balls. Samaj Morgan has been dropping a lot of passes, even though they've been pretty good throws by Bryce Underwood, and he's looked very good. That receiver Marsh that they have has looked good. McCauley's looked good, but Samaj Morgan has too many drops for them. And Justice Haynes in the running game, I mean, that's a guy who you're not going to stop. USC's rushing defense, they already can't stop, the rush against normal running backs. They're giving up 108 rushing yards per game. What's going to happen against Justice Haynes, who's going to rush for at least 200 yards against this USC defense and this USC front seven? And I don't see any point in them stopping. So now you mentioned, I think Bryce Underwood is right now hasn't proven anything that he's better than Jaden Mayava, who could be a Heisman finalist for USC. He's looked really good this season. Mayava has, not just through the air, but through the ground. And after the first 3 weeks before the Illinois game, people were saying he's the best quarterback maybe in the country. I mean, there's not one guy who's jumping out. Maybe you could say Carson Beck this year. It's going to be a good game. And I think that Bryce Underwood, we're going to really see what he does against the defense. It's pretty solid. I mean, they're better than former USC defenses. They're not great. DeAnton Lynn, their DC, former NFL experience. Candy, didn't mean to cut you off. I want to let you go ahead there.
No, that's okay. I wanted to acknowledge the chat room because J.I. is one of our great listeners. He comes in when he can. He had a little baby about a year ago now, I want to say. So he
Earlier
pops in
this
when
year,
he
yeah.
can. What?
Yeah, it was early in the year when he had the baby. It's been about 6 months now, maybe 7, I think. I think it
Something
was
like that.
January or maybe November at the earliest. So almost a year. And
Yeah.
what I love about J.I. is he's one of the most supportive fans I've had. He supports the South Florida Tribune. He supports my channel. 10 months.
But anyways,
January.
he's first learning about you, JJ, now. So
Yep. And
Great to meet
you,
you. Congrats on that for sure. Candy, I want to ask you, the state of the Wisconsin program, because right now, starting the season out, 2-3, and this isn't to throw any shade at them, but, through the NIL and the new era, it seems like they haven't been competing with the NIL, with just getting transfer portal. I love Vinny Anthony, the receiver you guys have, but outside of that, quarterback going down, Hunter Simmons, he wasn't terrible, but just give me your thoughts on the state of the program.
So this is Luke Fickell's third year, and we were talking about this before you even got on, that in his 3 years, every year his first string quarterback has gone down in the first or second week. I think him and college football has changed. It's more of a passing league. It's becoming more like the NFL. And Wisconsin's football, their bread and butter was their offensive line, defensive line, and their running backs. And so now that it's become more of a passing game, you're switching. And I think what you're finding is that the top tier talents are going to your big programs, and getting big money, like your Carson Becks, and going to Miami, Underwood going to Michigan, Alabama, and so it's a different tier. And I think the problem is when you don't have a lot, you're not a big program, that your second string quarterback isn't of the same caliber as some of the other ones, because they want to make money. So those second string quarterbacks are going to other schools so they can get paid in some shape or form. And so I think it really hurts, a program such as like Wisconsin when your first string quarterback goes down.
J.I., if it wasn't the NIL era, I would agree with you. But with the NIL level era being what it is, a lot of these second string quarterbacks, as she mentioned, just bounce out and go to another school when they have no chance to start. And I love the fact they're limiting it to 1 week of transfers now instead of the 2 separate weeks. I think that's going to help a lot with that problem. But I think that they should leave it as the spring one. And I'll tell you why. Right after the bowl game, you got all the teams that didn't make the bowl whose coaches get fired and everything else, and you start seeing an exodus then. I think it should be after the whole season's over, when the final taxes have been cut and the final names go to the NFL. That way players can transfer if their coaches are gone after the fact. And I think that would make more sense prior to the spring game, after the national championship. I think that's the right week to do it.
JJ, your thoughts on that, on the transfer portal, which is
I mean, Jeremy said it perfectly there. When you have a team like Ohio State and they make the playoffs year in and year out, and they transfer out before they even get a national championship, first off, it doesn't make sense to me, because they're part of the team. They show up at practice every single day. They put the work in the weight room. They go to all the games. They learn the playbook. And then they're not a part for the team, despite them getting limited playing time. They're not a part of the national championship experience. You gotta have the transfer portal start after the championship. Because, Dan Lanning was talking about this on Joel Klatt show the other day. When Oregon makes the college football playoffs, it's hard for them to start recruiting, right? It's hard because they're game planning for the next game to start getting guys in the portal. Their main priority is winning and focusing on this season, then focusing on next. So the portal's got to start after the national championship game. That's what it's got to happen, in my opinion. And me personally, I think that players could. I still don't know if you could say players should enter the portal if their season's over, because it limits the teams whose season isn't over, who are still competing for that national championship. So that's what's got to happen. It should happen. I think college football is making great steps now that we have only one transfer portal window. We got rid of the spring window. Now it's only the one window, which is open for about, 6 weeks in winter. So that's better than having two windows instead of having a plethora of guys enter the portal in spring. So I like that a lot more. But as Jeremy said, I totally agree, and he hit the nail on the head on that one for sure.
So
look at what happened.
You gotta love JI here.
Yeah. Do they have an NIL program for podcasters? I'd invest in JJ for my program as a redshirt freshman. Love it. And I said after that, because of what happened last year when SMU had so many transfers, they couldn't even play their bowl game. It decimated that football program, and they had not a marquee matchup, but it was one of the mid-level bowls. It wasn't one of the lower levels. Was it not SMU?
They made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, they made the playoffs. There was a team that couldn't even play in their bowl game. Who was it? Because they had so many transfers out.
They did. It wasn't them, but Florida State the year before.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
There was one last year too.
Well, they just had their players sit out because they thought it was disrespectful that they went undefeated and didn't make it.
Right. That was Florida State. But and then some of them had transferred, but there was a team last year that was eligible for bowl, and they couldn't field the team, so they had to quick find a replacement. Who was that?
Was it Marshall?
Was it? Team 24. We're doing some research here. Couldn't feel.
It was Marshall. I was right.
There you go. Oh, even JI here. Look at that.
Yeah, because the Independence Bowl is one of the better ones.
Yeah, and Marshall had that coaching change last year too. So that would make sense.
But that was a guy that went to a school where he was getting a pay raise from Marshall.
Yep, Southern.
And I understand his reason for doing it, but he went ahead as soon as that portal was open and poached every good player he could off that team. Great job by him, by the way. If you're gonna go to another team and the transfer portal opens up, come on home.
And
it should be after the bowl games. That's just my thing.
Of course, totally agree with you that for sure.
What were you gonna say, JJ? You were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say to Jeremy's point, Marshall to Southern Miss too. Don't know why he took that besides the money thing. Southern Miss is a team who wins 3 to 4 games prior to him taking that head coaching spot. And Marshall's always competing for Sun Belt championships. So an interesting decision there for him. But I understand, he's making double the amount he would at Marshall at Southern Miss there. But I want to bring up this with you, Jeremy, here, which is when you look at this whole landscape of college football, and I know you're a Big Ten Michigan fan, so you know this more. James Franklin, one of the big headlines was he was complaining about the full time change and the time travel. The fact that Penn State has to go to UCLA, 3-hour difference, or USC has to go to Illinois 3 hours earlier. That's a 9 a.m. kick. He was saying that's a big reason why they lost the UCLA game. Do you think that's a valid excuse, the fact that, these teams are traveling so much, so that's a reason why
Well,
they could be
that,
losing.
if you're going to use that, then all the NFLPA should be able to ban overseas games. You know, Oregon didn't complain last year, but you want to know which teams traveled the most in all of NCAA last season? And it
Who?
was more than any NFL team traveled. USC and UCLA. Those two teams, because of when they added to the other ones, they were traveling over 3,900 miles through the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, it's different because college football has always been regional to the fact where the Pac-12 was the West Coast, the Big 12 was more of that southern part, and then you had the ACC on the East Coast, SEC Southeast, Big 10 Midwest. Now it's just all over the place. Now you have Boston College and Stanford traveling back and forth. So it is different, but I don't think it's a valid excuse at all, in my opinion. I wanted to talk about this game here because it is a pretty big game this week that we got. We got LSU and South Carolina, the ABC 8 p.m. game of the week. Candy or Jeremy, do you guys got any thoughts on that one?
I kind of like South Carolina in this game. I just think they're playing at a different level right now, and they've been inconsistent. And if you look, they kind of had a snoozer last week. They kind of went, it was a game where it looked like they went through the motion. And I don't know why, but I think they can pull it out. Because
Yeah.
LSU has not been as impressive as I thought they would be.
Yeah. South Carolina, they did. I know you're saying 2 weeks ago didn't have a good game. Last week they did beat, or last week they were on bye. The week before they did have a win over Kentucky. But then before the win over Kentucky, back-to-back losses. I think a big part of that was their quarterback, Lenore Sellers, was hurt. So when you have your starting quarterback who's going to be a first-round pick out, that's not good. And Lenore Sellers, dual threat, uses, his legs a lot. And he's a threat through the air and through the ground. They look good, but it is in Baton Rouge and it's a night game. So I am going to go with LSU. I think Garrett Nussmeier gets the offense going a little bit more and give me LSU in that
one. Love it, love it, love it. Love chat room. It's kind of lighting up here. It's going good. Yeah, no, I think for that game I'm going to take LSU too. I just think at home they're going to take that game. Okay.
Yeah, that last comment was from my channel saying thank you.
Yep.
Candy, do you have Wisconsin beating Iowa this week?
It's so tough because I'm really right now really down on Wisconsin as much as I love them and I'm a fan, but the fact that they are at home gives them a small puncher's chance, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's tough. I'd like to say yes, but I'm gonna stick. I'll be a homer. I'm gonna stay. I'll say Wisconsin, but it's hard.
That was great. You said homer, and he just put in the chat Candy Homer Morganroth.
No, but I agree. I think Wisconsin's at home. Hunter Simmons doesn't look terrible. The team made improvements last week. I think than prior weeks before that, especially on the opening drive where the running game was working for them against the Michigan defense. The fact towards the end of the game where they didn't call those 3 timeouts that they had really didn't make sense to me. I know there's a 1% chance that you win. If you call the 3 timeouts, you get the ball back. But still, 24-10, if you call the 3 timeouts with 2 minutes left, you get it back. Say you scored 24-17, you can kick an onside. And it feels like Luke Fickell is giving up. And that's what I don't like about, the team. But they did make some improvements there. And I know, there's a 1% chance. But still, you shouldn't want to give up that easy. And Jeremy made the point where Michigan had a few possessions where they should have scored, where they should have won by more. But yeah, I think Wisconsin wins that one. What about you, Jeremy?
I do think Wisconsin can win. because the one thing we know that Iowa never has is a great QB. I don't know why they just can't get that right. Every year they get somebody, and it looks like through when they're playing their cupcake part of the schedule that they have a good quarterback, and they get in the Big Ten, and the next thing you know, they're floundering. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the Kirk Barron just isn't good at developing quarterbacks. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
But thank you, Bears country.
the schedule is just so brutal. Like you have two games on the schedule where you should win, but off those two games, this is the number one hardest schedule according to FBI. You have to go to. Well, let's go over it. So they had to go to Alabama. Then you have to play. Then you have to go to. Then they went to Michigan. They went to Alabama. They have to play Ohio State at home. They have to go to Oregon. They have to go to Indiana. They have to host Illinois. Like this schedule is brutal. Number 1 Ohio State. Number 3 Oregon. Number 8 Alabama. Number 15 Michigan. Number 7 Indiana. Number 17 Illinois. It's crazy.
Yeah, they have a tough one.
Bears County country, my heart goes out to you. I hope he crosses the Rainbow Bridge peacefully.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, no, I agree. Wisconsin has one of the toughest football schedules, and it's tough. It's tough, and it's not making it any easier going in there with not your number one quarterback. You're in the third year of Fickell's contract. There are a lot of Wisconsin fans that are not happy, and I'm not saying you need to listen to them, but if they would let him go, they owe him $25 million. Now, whether Wisconsin can, here's the one thing I'm going to say. As mad as everybody is, if you choose to let Luke Fickell go, you better have his replacement in mind before you do that.
Exactly.
And who's out there that you'd want that you think is better than who you have under contract right now?
Well, let me ask you this, Candy, because I've never understood the mid-season firing unless you know you have someone next, because it's not doing anything great when you fire a guy mid-season. I mean, it's not like you're going to just completely turn it around with the interim. The interim's already been on the staff. You're already paying this guy. You let him finish out the season. It's not going to change everything. But how hot do you think the seat is for Luke Fickell as a Badger fan?
I think it's hot. I think it is hot right now. The one thing I would say, and I would agree with you, normally you don't want to see them fired mid-season. But my question to you is now with recruiting, does the timing make any difference? Because if he's going the whole season and he's recruiting for Wisconsin, how heavily is he recruiting, thinking that he's on the hot seat? And then maybe, if he gets fired before that, what does that do to your recruiting class? Because we never had NIL before, and now all of a sudden you do.
Yeah. As you mentioned, with recruiting, this recruiting class that's coming in for them in 2026 is not bad. I mean, you have the starting quarterback at the best high school in California at Mater Dei coming in next year. Maybe he's going to be a freshman star. I wouldn't assume, but Ryan Hopkins from Mater Dei starting for them. So, a bunch of good recruits. I saw they were hosting a 4-star this weekend, and they got a Jaden PT like yesterday who committed their wide receiver from here in South Florida. So 4-star there, big get for them. So, as you mentioned with recruiting, if Fickell is on the hot seat, he may not want to go after these trips and watch these guys play high school games in South Florida, because what's the point of doing that if he's going to be at, let's say, somewhere else next year?
We got a pause in the action at 2:25 in the third quarter. Jackson Dart went down with a possible injury.
Oof. Ouch.
For the Giants.
Oh. Sorry, J.I.
Sorry. Yeah, so the only other game that I like, and it's not because it's a marquee game. It's because it involves the owner of this channel's alma mater, South Florida, taking on North Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, you can, either you guys feel free to jump in here. I'm not gonna try to monologue too much, but I cover the Americans, so I can go on and on about these teams. But Byron Brown for South Florida is looking really good. He looks like the best quarterback in the group of five, all of the group of five. But North Texas's quarterback isn't that far behind Drew Messmaker. He's also looked good and led the team to 5-0. The thing about South Florida that I really like, and I think they figured out last Friday against Charlotte, was the run game. They were able to use their three-headed monster with Sam Franklin, Norton, and Davenport, and each three of those guys got 15 carries. So it's really hard for this North Texas front seven to prepare for the three-headed monster that USF has. And again, this is great for college football. You have a Friday night game in Denton, Texas, in a group of five, packed out environment for the Mean Green, and a top 25 South Florida team heading into Denton. The winner of this game is going to be the favorite to make the college football playoff. That's just so good for the sport that the winner of a group of five game on a Friday night, prime time, in a sold out environment in the American. And as a group of five fan, this is what I love to see. So I'm so excited for it. Jeremy, are you confident in your alma mater's chances?
I'm confident in Scott's alma mater's chances.
Scott.
Yeah, Scott Morganroth. But hey, I'm really impressed with your knowledge, and I appreciated your monologue. You did well, and I'm happy to have you back whenever you want to be.
Yep. The one thing I will say, this time of year, college football is really expanded because let's face it, they had games this week starting last night. They have games tonight, games Friday night and Saturday. So they're spreading it around, trying to get a little more pieces of the pie. Kudos to USF for being ranked. Yes, that is Scott's alma mater. That should be a good game. I do hope North Texas is 5-0.
Right.
But who have
And
they?
I think it's good. Yeah, I want to see this game, and USF has actually did a couple of world beating type of wins to start the season. Nobody expected them to win that first week, and they just manhandled that team. So kudos to them.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, we should start getting into the NFL.
We should. Let's do it. Go for it, Jeremy.
Well, if you would share the individual sack leaders first, because I want to talk about that guy at the very top.
Is that the wide or the
short, the skinnier one? Nick Bonito of the Denver Broncos. He was a big reason why they beat Denver beat the Eagles, and it's why they're struggling tonight on a short week. He had 3 sacks in that game. He has 7 sacks on the season. This guy might be the AFC Defensive Player of the Year. Byron Young, another one for the LA Rams. He's having a good season at 5.5 sacks. Josh Sweat of Arizona, who came from the Commanders. And that's one of the reasons why they struggled a few times. They don't have Josh Sweat there anymore. He has 5 sacks. Dorrance Armstrong has 5 sacks. Brian Burns, the guy that's playing tonight, and I don't know if he has any more sacks yet because I didn't look at the individual numbers. He had 5 sacks coming into tonight. Aiden Hutchinson has 5 sacks. And then you got Rashawn Gary, Carl Granderson tied at 4.5. And Daniil Hunter, Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, and a little guy on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson named Al-Qadim Muhammad, who shouldn't be there, but Marcus Davenport is hurt, and that's nothing new.
Nice.
So I figured I'd throw that 12th one in just because I knew he was in that tied category.
Yes.
Yeah, and shout out to Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan legend right there, for your Lions right now. What are your thoughts on how he's done?
I think he struggled the first week, but the whole defense and the whole offense struggled the first week. And then you saw him get back on track versus the Bears in second week at home. And I think it was knocking the rust off and getting back into game shape. And it's something we've talked about here. I think every team should let starters play a quarter to a half throughout the 3 or 4 games in the preseason just to get that rust knocked off before they get into it. Because if you look at all the most competitive games that there was in week 1, the 8 competitive games, they all had teams that played their starters at one point or another in the preseason. And I think that's a big reason why some teams got off to a hot start. Somebody said that a knee almost took his head off, and it might be a concussion earlier. And I think he went into the tent.
Wow. Ouch.
But the Giants are up with that amount of time left. 27-17 right now. 10 points up on the Eagles.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but does that mean that Russell Wilson
might have to come in and play? But would they do that, or would they throw in Jameis Winston?
Wilson.
In my opinion, Russ didn't look bad. Like he just wasn't. He wasn't great. I mean, that Cowboys game he played exceptional in week 2.
It's Russell Wilson with an incompletion to start his reign. Ugh. Should have put in Jameis just for a chance. But kudos to Rashawn Gary making that list. And I'm going to say right now it's 100% because teams are focusing on not letting Micah Parsons take over, which is freeing up Rashawn Gary on the opposite side for the Packers. And I don't agree with PFF saying he's the best rated pass defensive end in the league right now, just because I haven't seen this. He's gotten some pressures. He hasn't done a lot of solo tackles. He hasn't done a lot of assisted tackles, and he's also very low on the sack count this year. But because he's there is why Rashawn Gary is up there into that top 11.
Right.
And 2 Michigan legends you mentioned, Aiden Hutchinson, Rashawn Gary. I love the point. Mike is getting doubled on the O-line, so it frees up the space and the gaps for Rashawn Gary to get after the quarterbacks.
Oh, and it's crazy. I just said that Denver Broncos are leading the league. If you'll throw up the wider, with 21 sacks through 5 games. Lo and behold, a team that was 22nd in sacks last year is number 2 right now. They're only 4 away from matching the number from last year, and it's week 5, and that's the Detroit Lions. And then you got the Commanders and Rams at 15, the Steelers and Browns and Colts all at 14, and then it's a drop off to 12 after that. There isn't a team out there with 13 sacks yet. So all these teams, if you look at it, most of these teams, what do they have in common? Winning records. 3-2 Commanders, 4-1 Colts, 4-1 Lions, 3-2 Broncos, 3-2 Rams, 4-1 Steelers. The Browns are the exception because all they have is a defense.
Yeah, well, they have Flacco again.
Yeah, that was a crazy trade, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Inside their own division. Mm-hmm. The Browns trade Joe Flacco because they decide they're going to run with Dillon Gabriel to the Bengals. They swap 6th-round picks, and the Bengals get a 5th-round pick back because, let's face it, the Browns, because of how they traded back, they had more picks than Carter has liver pills for a prescription. So they could afford to get rid of a 5th-round pick. I think they had 3 of them, so now they have 2.
And now the Packers get to see Joe Flacco for the second time in how many weeks?
In 4 weeks. Within 4 weeks. So in a month, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here. I don't expect them to win because that offensive line is atrocious. If the Bengals win, Joe Flacco will be the first quarterback outside the division to beat an NFC North quarterback twice in 1 month. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that?
It is. JJ, I know you have to get going, so I want you to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, how they can find you, how they can, watch you. Other than obviously, you're going to be back here Thursday nights on Fire Up, but besides that, so the floor is yours right now.
Yeah. First off, if you're watching the show, whether it's on X, YouTube, whatever it's streamed, make sure to go to YouTube X, follow South Florida Tribune first because they do such a great job Monday through Thursday. Daily articles on their site. I mean, it's a great site for content all over the place. Great work from every single one of the contributors. So subscribe to them first. After you've done that, you can find me daily podcast at FAU Night Owls on YouTube. Really would mean a lot if you subscribe to that. We do a daily show, and then on X at JJ Mets FAU. Kenny, I'm not sure if you wanted me to do the your town thing before I sign off, but I'm happy to do that if okay. So I just talk about the teams in my town, correct?
Whatever you want, whatever you want to talk about regarding your town. It doesn't have to be sports if you don't want to, but it can be if you'd like.
Okay, so I'm gonna consider my town South Florida, Miami, Boca Raton, that area. Um, I'll keep this short. Miami Dolphins don't look too good. Potentially see a coaching change very soon. Maybe, Tua's like better, maybe though, a new direction. I don't see Tyreek Hill ever putting on a Dolphins uniform again after getting injured. Devon A-Chain probably is going to get traded at the deadline. So is Jalen Waddle. I see a total rebuild starting pretty soon for us. And then Heat, I think, are going to be better than they were last year. Just the fact that, got rid of Jimmy, which I guess that's a bit of a downgrade, but now that everyone's back, you brought in the guys you want. If Tyler Hero and Bam can be cohesive this year, they could be within those top 6 seeds in the Eastern Conference, especially with the draft picks. I think Vlad Golden's going to be a huge addition in the front court for the Heat. Panthers, I'm praying that we win 3 straight. Huge Panther fan. Excited for the season to start. And then Marlins, looking like we'll have a chance to compete for a playoff spot next year. Big improvement this year for the team. And they were 7 games back of the wild card in August. Or they got to a point where they were 5, but they were 7 in August. And big improvement for them. And then FAU, big FAU game. If FAU wins this weekend, the path to bowling is that much easier. It's that much more clean if we win against UAB this week. This was so awesome, Candy, talking some sack leaders. And Jeremy talking sacks, talking college football, talking some baseball. I'm so excited for next week. And guys, stay right here because there's so much more that Jeremy and Candy are going to be producing. I got school tomorrow, so I'm going to go to sleep. But it was really nice to meet you, Jeremy. And as always, thank you so much, Candy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
JJ.
you, JJ.
Saturday.
Yeah, see you Saturday. Look forward to it.
Thanks, JJ.
Oh, he was great. That's all I got to say. He was great.
Yes, he was a good find.
I wish Adam would have been here. He ended up working and he just got in the house at 10:30. I did send him the link just in case he could, and he goes, "Dude, I'm just eating my dinner."
Oh yeah.
That being said, I'll do my town. Detroit. Last I looked, the Red Wings looked like crap, but Dart is back on the field, thank God, because Russell Wilson's one and only pass was an incompletion. Hallelujah, because that would have been really, really bad for them. So let me see how the Red Wings did tonight. I know it wasn't good.
They lost 5-1.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they scored the first goal and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Montreal Canadiens, they just went on a tear. We had a power play goal, which got us started, and then we fell apart defensively. And it goes to something that we've been saying for the past 3 years at the Red Wings. Get us someone on the defensive line for the first line that can defend. And it looks like they haven't done it again.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's sad because you guys have Yzerman and he's supposed to be so good, but yet he just hasn't made the moves that to improve the team like a lot of people I've talked to want.
and expected.
Expected, yes.
I'm going to say exactly what I said last year when we fell short of the playoffs again by having a bad run at the end of the season. The Iser plan is not working. And there's no knock to him as a player. As a player, God, I loved Iserman.
Mhm.
He was great for Detroit. But
Mhm.
so far as a manager, I'm just not impressed.
Mhm. Oh, I get it. What else is happening in your town?
The
Anything?
Lions, the Lions get to face the Chiefs this weekend on
Oh, that's right.
Sunday night football on the road. So I expect to be the Marshmallows and another one of those primetime games that Goff doesn't lose very often. In his career, he's 12-2 in prime time.
Wow. Awesome.
And one of the first primetime losses that Patrick Mahomes had was versus Jared Goff that first year when he was with the Rams in one of the highest scoring Monday night football games ever, 54-51 in overtime.
Mhm.
Wow. Chase Crow. Let me hop in to talk about the Seahawks. He looks like they're coming from your channel because it's not from mine. That or it's from his from did JJ share it to his channel too?
No, I don't think so. I think this is they must be watching it from mine, but I don't know how to
So Chase Crow, I would say email her at southfloridatribune.com
at gmail.com.
at,
Yep.
at gmail.com. Email her and discuss what type of fan you are, what you do, and everything. And if she vets you and thinks you're worth it, you might be able to come on the show, and we will let you talk to the Hawks 100%. But
Yep.
we're getting close to the end of the show, and I don't think we're adding a guest right now.
Yeah, no, not right now. What else is anything else happening in your town? You have a big game. What tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Michigan. The big game. Tigers. Game 5. Scooble on the mound. Like I said, the only thing we need is the bats to stay warm. They got warmed up at Cleveland. They kind of went a little flat in the middle of the series. That's why we had a 1-0 lead and then lost 2, and now they woke up again. I hope it stays.
Yep, he's impressed you.
It looks like a German name to me, so I said it the way I would for my last name because my last name is of German heritage. And if not, it's at least one of those Middle European Slavic type of names.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, email us at southfloridatribune at gmail.com and we'll definitely consider putting you on next week. Thursday nights we start around 9:30. Anything
And
else happening in your town?
I hope the Tigers wipe the floor with the Mariners tomorrow like they did yesterday. What was it, 9-3? Let's have another game like that. I'm tired of the bat being dead. We can't have 19 strikeouts in 2 games. It's abysmal.
I hear you. My Brewers are not doing very well in Cubbyville. They're
Uh-oh.
still down 3-0. I'm hoping they wake it up. It's only the fifth inning yet, so there's still time. Let's hope. If not, they will go back to Milwaukee and play the fifth game. Kind of like what the Tigers are in that kind of situation. I know it's preseason, but my Bucks did take down your Pistons tonight, although it was a close game, 117 to 111.
Oh, so neither team's playing defense still. Got it.
Nope, no, it's preseason. Uh, let's see. The Packers play Cincinnati this weekend. We already talked about Wisconsin playing Iowa. Down here, Miami has a bye after they played Florida State last week, but FAU plays Rice at home, and so that's the game we will actually be at.
I will say Cam Robinson, the trade that the Texans made a week ago to the Bengals, looks like he might have helped solidify that line a little bit because they did limit the amount of sacks that the Lions got against them. So don't be surprised if it's not that easy of a day for a certain somebody that's opposite Micah Parsons, because that's the position he plays.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just want to throw that out there because Al-Qadim Muhammad did not do anything against that guy, and he's been very good so far this season since he replaced Marcus Davenport after the Bears game.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to put that out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the one thing I will say about the NFL, I think there is a lot more parity in the league this year that I've noticed compared to other years. Like there's no undefeated team. I mean, the only team that kind of is a walkover is the Jets right now. Well, the Dolphins maybe, but
Dolphins are a walkover when people take them seriously.
yeah.
That's all I got to say. The Bills almost lost to the Dolphins. They played them so tight. And look at the Bills. They did not take the Patriots seriously. I don't care what they say. That was not a Josh Allen performance for a prepared game.
Right.
That was not a prepared defense. They weren't ready for the running game that they had.
Nope.
I mean, they got a fumble early, which is something that they are known for doing. And I'm proud of how the Patriots came back and the poise that I saw out of Drake May towards the end of that game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yep. A lot of games this weekend to look forward to. A lot of football to look forward to.
Yeah, football. Football.
And a little baseball. Let's hope our teams go to the next series for both of us.
No, yeah, I think your team's going to wake up. Like you said, the teams that have been winning have been the home teams in that series for you. For us, both teams are 1-1 at home, so you don't know who's going to win on Game 5. You could say you want it to be this, and you can say you want it to be that, but the God's honest truth, we don't know. And I have to ask, I don't even know, did Brandon Wu pitch for the Seahawks this past week?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm going to check that right now.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to go over my little station stuff that I need to go over. My husband Scott wrote a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. Talks about media business and how it has changed over his 40 plus years. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, including Jeremy's writing. So go check it out for sure. If you see the red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you haven't subscribed to us yet. What are you waiting for? Just do it. Like it, share us, and then turn your notifications on. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be a guest, you email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com and we'll talk. Or if you want to advertise, you call Scott 954-304-4941. Mr. Jeremy, you got the answer? You were looking something up?
Oh, yeah. Brandon Wu has not pitched because he was dealing with an injury from the first series, and that's the Mariners' best pitcher. Now I want to see if he's scheduled to play tomorrow, because this might be an early birthday present for me, if not. Because he is their best pitcher. I don't like to sugarcoat anything. Brandon Wu has been amazing for the
George
Mariners.
Kirby is supposed to start for the Mariners tomorrow night.
So Brandon Wu is out the entire... Ooh, that's going to be... You don't know who's going to win then. I mean, you really don't, because it all depends on the Tigers' bats and if Skubal can continue his dominance for 7 or 8 innings. Because last week it was 7 innings in the third pitch, and everybody got mad that AJ Hinch pulled him out at 97 pitches. The guy already played almost 200 innings in the regular season. You can't do that to your ace in the playoffs. If it was the World Series, that's a different animal.
Right, especially knowing there might be more games. Yeah, I mean, you have to. You got to protect, but, well, let's hope all of our teams win since they don't play each other this weekend.
Let's hope they both win and they play each other when they have to.
There we go. Sounds good. You want to tell everybody how they can find you?
Okay, you can find me at the SouthFloridaTribune.com, where you'll find my writings, where I write about the Detroit Lions underneath the Motor City Tribune, under the contributor writings. You can find me right here on the South Florida Tribune channel every Thursday night and occasionally on Tuesdays on Inside the Pigskin. Yeah, and then you can find me on all the other places where I'm at, which is Twitter, which at Smoking Jeremy, on Instagram at Smoking Jeremy B1, on Facebook at Jeremy Volrick, on LinkedIn at Jeremy Volrick. You can also find me on my channel on YouTube, which is Kneecap Fighting with the Motor City Lions, and the Huddle Sports Network YouTube channel, where we go live into YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and a Roku Amazon Fire Stick app called the Huddle Sports Network. If you don't have it, go to the App Store, download it. You can watch it on the TV and comment from your phone.
Awesome. Awesome. So how do you always end us?
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat.
Much love. I want to say thank you, Jeremy, for spending a little part of your birthday with us. Thank you so much and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Another 365 days around the sun.
As I said, I ended 54. I started 55, but it is the start of technically my 56th revolution around the sun because you're 9 months old the day you pop out.
That's true. That's true. Well, I hope this year is full of lots of love, lots of laughs, blessed, and good health.
Any day I wake up, it's good.
With that being said, everybody enjoy the rest of Smoking Jeremy's B's birthday. Enjoy all the sports happening around, and we'll catch you next week.
Before you hit that, I also share it with Panay Sewell and John Lennon.
Okay. Awesome. Good night, everybody.